steps back and be like, April 1st, my spider senses are tingling, like,
Really,
yeah.
the question should just be: is this is it MVP or not? Like, is it minimally viable, or will it
Oh yeah, we've
not?
been
Oh
having that
yeah, well,
discussion of like
here's our developer coming
what's
in with,
typical for
it
Go Live.
turns on, the light is green. That's all we needed. That's all that's in the use case, man.
I mean, it just has to be an MVP, and then you
Yeah.
work on it. I'm just gonna eat my sandwich, okay?
Yep. Ice cream sandwich. I mean, I've never seen
It
just
kind of
so
looks like
perfectly
graham
cut.
crackers.
Yeah.
It's
Did your mom cut the crusts off of it for you?
No, the crust is here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's whole wheat and then cheese.
Gotcha. Yeah, maybe I'm used to my bread where it's like half again is wide and not doesn't look like it's all perfectly square, but I'm on board now. I was just like from a distance, Anyway, so speaking of minimally viable product, that should be our new podcast name.
Oh man.
Self-burn. Oh man.
That's the podcast network name. That's actually a good podcast.
There you go. Yeah. If we ever need to change, so
Well, it might be good to get away from the acronym that we have currently.
Right. Yep. We I was like, what acronym? We never talk about it. Okay, well, now I know. So all right. We ended at the end of chapter 24 last time. We're starting on chapter. Hey, I'm not slow. We're starting with chapter 25. We pulled Jim Butcher and we ended on a cliffhanger where Dresden introduces himself as a cheesy vampire to the masquerade, and then the slide on several semi-automatics is heard echoing throughout. Otherwise, nothing, no sound.
Does he have any entrance in the rest of the series that's as good as this?
I mean, the building was on fire and it wasn't his fault.
That's an opening line. I mean, an entrance.
The Deeps.
I was going to say the Deeps next if you were going to quibble about that, because him and his badass wizard buddy walk in, and
the Deeps is really good. It might be better than this one. It's more epic.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, this is very Harry Dresden, don't get me wrong, right? And he does grow out of this, but yeah, like the Deeps is like, hi, I'm a warden. Maybe you know me from all the times I've kicked your ass before.
And maybe you know me from all your friends I've killed.
Right. Yeah. I come highly recommended for people who needed their asses kicked. So, all right. So Harry gets out of it because of course he does, because of Thomas, because of course he does. So Thomas diffuses everything with a laugh. So, great moment. Lots and lots of dialogue for the next couple of chapters because, like, oh man, there's
we have to
Harry
talking
to Michael,
one of them.
Talking to Thomas, talking to Kyle and Kelly show up. Kelly with her face burned off, and oh, did you spend too much time in the tanning bed? And Kelly grabs Michael, which is the last time she'll do that one, because she bursts into flame and basically loses that hand. Probably she's a vampire. Who knows if it would have grown back otherwise, but let's see. Yeah. There's a lot of good Dresden dialogue in this because, the whole like Bianca turns off the spotlight that's blinding him and he's like, oh, Bianca, dear, I'm sorry. Did I misunderstand the invitation? So there's a little bit of sparring in there. Literally 200 words of describing Bianca as statuesque, the only way that you find in erotic magazines and embarrassing dreams. Like, yeah.
This reminds me, I've gotten another friend into reading Dresden, and he's going through the first book, and he's like, boy, is he horny.
Yeah, I mean,
that was one of the first takes.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like that description's overblown somewhat, but like, come on, dude, you walk through like, some pageant somewhere and you tell me all the things that you don't notice. Like, because that's Harry Dresden's life, right? All of the supernatural things are pretty because that's a easy way to disarm you and kill you. Like that's what it is. Like
I think it's not so much that if you put yourself in the situation, or like if especially as a guy, right, that you don't necessarily would think the same things. I think it's more when you compare it to reading a lot of other fantasy, like not the erotic paranormal stuff, but the more like normal fantasy. He just read Wheel of Time and stuff, and it's like there's not that much this like that kind of description. Oh, she's really sexy. Look at that butt and stuff like that.
sure.
So just like it's stylistically different, so you probably notice that more.
Right. I'll say like I would probably notice a lot of the same things, and as frequently as Dresden does, I'm not nearly as poetical about it. Right. So I'm not over here talking about how statuesque she is and, how she reminds me of some chick from a rock magazine. I think it usually sums up to, oh, damn, so like I don't usually get, so apparently that's where he's a better wizard than I am because he keeps his mental faculties.
He's just more eloquent, Us also like internally. We
Right.
just go, damn. He goes statuesque.
Right. Yeah, and it's a shame that he's single all the time because like what kind of woman doesn't want somebody to wax on poetical about her body like that, like come on. Just the one special someone, not like Harry Dresden looks like a hobo off the street. That would be a little weird, I guess, but so you're very quiet over there, director. Yeah.
It's quite entertaining.
So, I think as fun as that digression was, inner dialogue, right? Do we have him just turn over to Michael and be like, Michael, she reminds me of some statue out of an erotic magazine, or do we just like omit this whole thing?
I think we would hit better with an audience if we just omit it, just because that's one of the biggest critiques that the series gets.
I mean, that's a very reasonable direction to take, but it is funny to try to imagine like maybe he doesn't mutter it to Michael, maybe he accidentally mutters it to Thomas or something like that, or back and forth, showing their camaraderie and how well they get together.
Can he at least lean over to Michael and be like, "Oh damn, oh wait," and then just like, and then turn to Thomas and be like,
"Oh, I love it, yeah.
Who am I talking to?
You're the wrong person to talk to about this.
Right,
the guy that's wearing petals."
Right.
You're like first, Mike, like, damn, have you seen? Oh, never mind, Thomas.
Yeah,
I can see that scene.
Is this one of the times that Michael like turns around not to stare at the skimpily clad lady? Wait, probably not because it's Bianca.
I mean, to give credit to, I want to say, let's see. No, this isn't. I don't think this is the one. I was thinking like he describes her at one point where it's like I would totally be brought in by this, but I've seen what's under her mask, and he's actually kind of like squicked out about it, but I don't think that's this description. But
if I remember right, like
she's wearing flames in this description.
Yes,
yeah,
it looks like it's almost like a living flame, probably some form of bespelled dress. Whether she has anything underneath the flames or not, who knows? But it's like really, really low cut in the front, and I always picture something. Well, I guess actually the woman in the TV show didn't do too bad as a kind of more or less what I picture her. But probably also really high cut on the sides and just like barely covering anything that's really important.
Yeah, she covers everything as is required by law and the censors, and that's pretty much it. So,
oh damn, we need to know.
See, that's what I'm saying.
the censors and what's their view on hardened nipples?
That's why we're hoping to go for like HBO /Max /Netflix or something. Okay. Like I'm gonna tell you, we watched like the first 20 minutes of the new Avatar show because that's all we've had time for so far. And
is it out?
They showed younglings all but getting barbecued, so I think Netflix is gonna be okay. It was a very, you'll know the scene when you see it, and it was just like, oh right, we're doing the Darth Vader thing. Okay, so minor spoilers, I guess, but they don't make it.
Wow.
So, yeah. When did the original come out? Like what, 2007 or something. It was a long
It's a long time.
ago.
It's also the setup for the whole premise of the start of the show, right? So
Oh, this
it's,
is
it's
prequel?
like it's got to be like the first 20
No,
minutes.
like the first episode shows, you know, the Fire Nation attacking the Air Nation,
Mhm.
and you mostly reconstruct that through the show, and you get little snippets. Like they focused more on Sozin dueling. Why can't I remember Avatar Roku? Right, that was kind of the prequel. For some reason, they didn't include that, which I feel like, you know, hopefully we get that later. But anyway, so yeah, you get to see them actually attack the Air Nation, and you know, my wife was like, "Oh, I don't want to see this. I know how it turns out." And I was like, "Yeah, but everybody wanted to see the Airbenders actually throw down, so now we're getting that justice." You know, so yes, you know, it's bad for them, but you know, yeah, you at least get to see them, you know, represent. So anyway, Dresden, different wizards, different magic system. So yeah, the next thing from my notes was Michael setting Kelly on fire, um, accidentally. That's my
What?
favorite part. You know,
Michael didn't do anything.
yeah, right. She touched him and then he burst into flames and he's like, "Yeah, that happens sometimes. Sorry." And he's all chagrined about it. And it's just like, probably his guardian angel is like, "No,
Yeah.
that's a bad touch." So, yeah. After that, they go get some wine, and Thomas runs up. He's like, "Oh, thank God I got to you in time," as Dresden has already drank like half of it or whatever. So, yep.
Because Thomas is a friendly even now. I mean, of course, Thomas knew this, but Justin
Yeah,
didn't. Justin had
right.
reasons to be suspectful of Thomas. Suspicious.
Yep.
That's the word.
Yeah, there's so much back and forth because I'm trying to skim like and look at my notes, and like, yeah.
And not have dead air.
Well, yeah, sorry. It was just like
No,
a
you're
toast to hospitality. And I was like, who is he toasting and why? And oh, of course, Dresden's being cocky as he poisons himself. Because it's like, this is Wizarding 101, Dresden. You don't touch shit. You don't drink shit. Like, what is wrong with you?
do
You
not
know, like
drink
you
something
went
given to
to
you by an enemy. But I
by
mean, he
a
does think,
monster.
yeah,
Like, not even just an enemy. Like, I might trust Nicodemus's food, but I'm just telling you, like, like they are monsters, you know, like
his reasoning of why is like they can't poison me here because that would be too obvious. But they drugged it. It is a poison, and it's in an accelerated way that alcohol is. Of now, everyone
yeah.
is like narcoticized. Whatever.
Well, what's fun is I did this and then I twinned it with Codex Alera for my D&D group when they went to a party, because they went to a rich person's party and all of the wine was laced with Aphrodin, you know, and so it same effect basically, right? Like it's going to get everybody in the mood. It's not a like I treated it like a poison so everybody would freak out, but it's like a suggestion, right? You know, it was like subliminal, like all the rich people are hooking up, and this is just making it more likely that they're all going to hook up, you know, like, you know. But yeah, I I overstepped, Cody. I think you're right, but you know,
They are not trying,
like,
they're not gonna poison specifically you, but they are poisoning.
right, and it was again like it was great because it kind of centered around this one character who is a private investigator, not a Harry Dresden. He's a druid in the game, but it's like, really, you fully have detect poison and purify food and drink, and you didn't, like, you know. And what was great is his femme fatale was there, his Susan, basically, and she's like, "Did you just drink that without testing it? Like, what's wrong with you?" So yeah, it was just a fun moment. But anyway, let's see. Oh yeah, Harry goes and throws up in the bushes, which I think we should totally keep in, by the way. I don't think we should go like all in with the microphone or anything, but you know, having him like go hide by the bushes and Michael like try and block him, I think that's a fun scene, that it's like
Yes.
him trying to figure out.
It's
So
funny when Harry gets to be undignified
sure,
and
sure.
messy because to show how much of an idiot that he actually is, or just like clumsy and awkward. And people is like, how did you defeat all of these people? You can't
Yeah.
tie your shoes correctly.
Well, it's even better because like the first sentence of this chapter is poisoned. I said witlessly, so it's just like the wine's been poisoned because of course it has. Like, yeah. Then they're trying to get Harry out. There's a big argument about if he should stay or should he go now, because if he stays, there will be trouble, but if he goes, it will be double. They run into Faravax, which is all sorts of fun.
Oh yeah.
And,
And who plays Paravax? You have one scene with someone.
You have another one in
I've-
10 years or so.
yeah,
You can't. No.
we need somebody. Well, first of all, they could be two different dudes, right? It'd be better if they weren't, I guess, like if we could somehow do that. But like, I kind of want him to be like an old legionary, right? Like, even better, when
know
we
who
do,
I
when we
like.
turn around to do Codex Alera, we should have what was their Legion buddy that made it all the way through? Spoilers.
Sturm.
No. You're thinking Aeronauts Windless.
No. So I know who you're thinking of, the one that acts.
Gribaldi,
Oh,
right?
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll have the same actor play Garibaldi and Faravax, so you get the Roman legionary feel, So because he's wearing the Legion getup, and it's like, oh, that must have cost you a fortune to put together. Yeah, I only burned down like 25 villages to get it. Thanks, like. So
I like Ian McShane here.
Sure.
Okay.
You like Ian McShane for a lot of things, don't you?
No. I mean, sure, I like Ian McShane, but I don't think I've put him forth for any other role.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, I know the name, but I was not thinking. I just watched freaking John Wick, so Winston.
Right.
So
Yes.
yeah, I could totally get down for that, actually. Trying to find, we're gonna get personal here because I'm worried. 1942, my dude. So that's 82.
He's 81.
Well,
Right now.
he'll
it
be
might
82 this year. So
maybe we
yeah.
want to aim for someone like in their 40s, 50s.
Right. Yeah. Who's the guy?
We'll just film. Well, okay, we know we got approval for the full thing. We'll film all the changes stuff now with him.
Right.
Easy.
We've got $11 billion, so
Not
we'll just
changes,
hire these guys out for the next 5 years.
We can
And
deep fake him. We're in the world of
Yeah.
AI.
No.
Just look at Mark Hamill in Star Wars. Mark Hamill
Okay.
works.
So don't flame me, but 20, 25-ish years younger, Rufus Sewell or whatever. He's the bad guy from Knight's Tale. Same kind of physicality.
You know what?
How old is he now?
Well, he was born in 67.
He's
so-
56, according to Google.
That's fine. I'd take that. I would totally take that.
Yeah, I was like,
works.
if you look at Winston's IMDb, like, and you look at his older stuff, I was like, oh, there's a couple other actors that have got a very similar facial structure and the curly hair and stuff, and then he's what came to mind as one of them.
They're both
it's like,
and they both have that same kind of delivery within the dryness, kind of.
Sure.
Yeah, this guy also, like, there's a type that we're gravitating towards of
right.
Same. Yeah, they're all three the same type.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, like, I definitely go for like
Too
the
old.
the stringy, Roman legionary. Like, I wanted gray hair, like the whole thing, but I don't hate like any of these guys for the role or anything. But it's like, the guy that it's like skinny as a rail, but you wouldn't want to screw with him anyway because he's probably just made out of ripcord and everything. Like, that's Faravax, right? And Harry Dresden's just too stupid to even figure that much out, let alone the fact that he's actually just a dragon in disguise, So the whole conversation is like, Michael's not too worried about it because that's a bad day for him, but he's killed one of you before, And then Dresden's just like an idiot child the entire conversation, Like, I especially like where Faravax like dismissively calls him
Drafton.
Yeah, Drafton, and he corrects him after he had gotten already slapped. Like, you are dumb, right? You are just like actually stupid.
I haven't seen this thing, so
Supernatural.
I know who he means. He is also kind of that type. I can't remember the name.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, this guy might be a little skinny or a little tall, but
Who is
I'm
it?
down for it. I'm trying to find the actor's name. Julian Richings. So, yeah, okay. I see him with the hair now and I'm like, yeah, okay, I could deal with that. So, might be
Okay.
does this have his birthday? 1955. So, he's a decade older, but he's not
I
going to be
like
pushing 90 by the time we get him the second time,
I like
like
the Knight's Tale guy the
so.
most of all of these now,
Sure.
except I like Ian, but you're probably right that he's
It
he's
just
too old. He's gonna
yeah.
retire or die.
He's fantastic. He's got a lot of gravitas, but if we're going to be remotely realistic, if I don't get to have Duvall, then, that we can't cast Ian McShane, so but okay. All right, that's not what we're doing. But
Okay.
kind of, but not
Well, yeah,
this time.
because we didn't talk about Farovax when we did any of the casting episodes, and
Right?
someone
Cuz he shows up
someone-
twice. We
all
had
of
to
like,
have a whole episode to argue about Dresden. Like,
God, like so Farovax is somebody that like he's got maybe 5 minutes to show, and that's a lot of time actually, to show how dangerous he is, how stupid Dresden is, how complicated the world is in ways that we don't understand. Like the cigarette
he's
thing,
got a
and
full day.
yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. I was just adding flavor. Yeah.
No, it's that's a complicated thing to just be able to do so much in so little time. You need to choose something very particular.
While communicating 80% through pregnant pauses, too, by the way, for the
Yes.
gravitas.
And looks
just like
the dude in Dune.
that really narrows it
Oscar
down.
Isaacs. I had to
Okay.
like go through all of the names in my head.
Right. Oscar Isaacs would be another great, like
because of the pregnant pauses. He can do that. He can like
okay.
When you said that, it's just like
I feel like he's a little bit more frenetic. Like he doesn't do it for Atreides, obviously, but he does it. I mean, I guess one of the last things I saw him in was Moon Knight, right? So, we'll have him read for it. Okay. We'll put him and all of these other fantastic actors that I would just melt to be in the same room as, and, we'll have them all do it. And then of course it depends on, which agents and, oh, I'm sorry, that role is too small for my guy. And, all of that real life Hollywood
No,
nonsense.
this is the biggest project that's ever been in entertainment. Remember, we have infinite money. Everybody
Right.
wants everybody wants to be in it. They like if we ask, they'll be like, yes, yes.
I see. So you're going to get in touch with EG so that you can be the hype man. EG can spend all the money, and then we'll never get anywhere.
That's what we said. We have infinite money. Like everybody
Right.
will say yes.
Oh yeah.
It's like the Harry Potter show. Everybody will say yes because it's the biggest IP to be a part of. It's like the new Game of Thrones.
Isn't House of the Dragon the new Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones is the new Game of Thrones. Like, so wasn't there something that they were going to do movies and now those movies aren't going to happen or something? But sorry, Game of Thrones fans, I love to kick you while you're down. I'm sorry about that.
They're getting up again. Or I guess I am a Game of Thrones fan since I've.
But you're never going to keep them down.
Yeah. But like the House of Dragon's good. It's like really good.
It is good. There was another prequel show or something that they canceled because it just wasn't good enough, I guess, which I have to admire. And we've been getting a lot of shit in the last few years. So.
Michael tells Harry to be polite. Feel like that's important. And then they go to make for the door and somebody tries to grab Harry. It's Susan. so yeah, then now we've got to deal with all of that stupid shit. So here we are, a race to the bottom with Harry Dresden in the lead as the stupidest main character that we can think of. And then freaking Susan is like, hold my beer. And like so dumb. It's so dumb and completely preventable. And she's like, "Oh, are you an important private investigator who I've actually seen slay monsters in real life? I better just ignore all of your warnings about how dangerous that is, steal the invitation, and show up all but undefended." I mean, granted, she's got like the garlic and the cross and,
Yeah,
you know,
she
whatever,
is
but like
prepared.
her plan is to not get licked and to not look anybody in the eye, like visiting New York, as if Chicago isn't like the third most populous city in the country. And you should also not let people lick you or look you in the eyes in Chicago. I'm just saying.
I mean, if she was smart enough not to start drinking the wine, she's probably got a leg up on Dresden.
Fair. She can't be perfectly stupid, I guess. Like, but this is as near as it gets. Like, this is pretty dumb, you know, of like the all-time dumbest things. This is up there. So while they're trying to figure out how to get Susan out, because Harry understands at least enough to know that it's bad, which also gives him like positive IQ points in this moment, that's when Leah shows up. So as if your bad day isn't getting worse. Like, you know, there's an old joke about, you know, Russian history, that it's like anytime the Russians feel like they're going to start getting it together and then things got worse, that's Harry, Dresden, and Leah, especially in this book. You know, it's like, oh, are you about to be eaten by the nightmare? And he's dragging Charity around Graceland by her hair. Leah's gonna show up, you know. So
Yeah. He is great.
So sorry, I got distracted by Cody's comment about like having Fairfax Where's Waldo around Dresden, you know, just have him show up places. So
yeah, but I mean, I enjoy it because it's funny, but it would also give the wrong impression to everything that's happening behind the scenes. Like there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes, and it's like all the Black Council and Cowl and all of them. So if Fairfax is just there in the background, we're giving the wrong information and people will draw the wrong conclusion. But I do like the idea because it's funny.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would obviously love to have him around more, you know, much like I would love to have more elves in Lord of the Rings, but we're going to do it right, you know, and like Fairfax showing up places is kind of a problem, you know, so
Yes.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, love me some Elminster, love me some Real High Wizards, love me some Ebenezer, but him showing up in new places, that's a problem, you know, like it's not a solution. And as much as I would love it, you know, like that's just going to cause like, why was
Reality
Fairfax
bending
there, you know, like, yeah, right, you know, he just runs up and down the street yelling Harry Dresden as Dresden just keeps like falling over because he can't withstand the power, you know. So all right, you type, I'm gonna read. So yeah, so another pair. Leah only gets like 100 words about how she's glamorous, as in glamour, and that's the kind of beauty she has, you know. I don't make metaphors, Harry. I'm too busy being one. Are you enjoying the party? So you know, Jessica Chastain or her other triplets, you know, whomever. Just imagine. Yep.
All right, Cody, you asked for this.
Uh-oh.
If we don't use Lord of the Rings as an example of accuracy, I'll start using Dune.
We're going to fight about Dune now?
Just to bother Cody, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the quip about Lord of the Rings and its accuracy. I wasn't praising the accuracy in this case. I don't like that the elves showed up at Helm's Deep. Like I do because I wanted more elves, but it just makes me mad because they didn't do it right, which is why I said it doesn't present a solution. It just caused more problems. Just to expand it, because if you haven't heard me do this rant like 6 times in the last 8 years,
my friend still insists that you're not right. But you know,
I got screenshots. I got the receipts, my sir. So you're quibbling with canon. You've read the Bible and you've
We've had
decided
this
that that is
issue
not
about canon
accurate.
before.
Right? The canon, the kind of thing that I'm going to launch you out of if you don't agree with the canon, which is the kind of thing that is the gospel written by the man
what was the
himself.
argument? That he said that was specifically those. I can't remember. I'm gonna have to check with them again.
Oh, what you're going to come up with some defense from Peter Jackson? Is that what you're going for?
No.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember.
I thought we were quibbling
It's
about
not my
the blue
argument.
flame
I'm
thing.
just like saying it for
Yeah.
him.
Like I was like, I'm just making sure we're on the same argument because I'm talking about the blue flame thing, which you and I have sparred about before. But if you're going to bring up some Peter Jackson thing, then I'm not equipped for this one because I don't care. I don't care what his reasoning was. Like, I'm kind of glad it happened in the sense that we got to see the elves throw down because, again, like the airbenders, you want to see that shit, right? But, like whatever his justification was. So, yeah. Dune was so good. I don't know. Why do I got to fight you guys? And while we're talking about Dresden, like, so good.
Doing this
So,
again.
all right.
I'm really looking forward to part 2.
So looking forward to it. I don't know if I'm looking forward to the third one, but I'll go watch it anyway. So, but because Dune is one of those where it's like the story starts to get weird, So just to explain that, I don't think they're going to do a bad job with it. I just think the source material is gonna make things get weird. So, All right, let's see. Lots of talk with Leah. Broken faiths weaken you, so she gets to talk to him about all the broken promises. She chastises him about his language in front of Susan, which I think is funny. Like, he gives a shit. So,
like, she gives a shit. Like, Leah being conscientious about language is just like, why does Leah care?
Right.
Although she does never use a curse word.
She doesn't use one of our curse words. She's a she. She uses all sorts of curse words. So she's gonna, she turns him into a hellhound. How is that not a curse?
Think of the.
Did she use a word for it, or did she just like wave a finger?
That guy, the Pharaoh, what's his name in the Matrix? He chose French because it's great to curse.
Merovingian.
Yeah, and she can also pretty much, I would imagine, swear in whatever language she wants.
Oh, sure.
Through any culture, any time, because she's been around.
Or she's like how Toot Toot describes, like, you just know it.
Right. She just drops some sick Aztec curses right in the middle of something, and you're like, I don't even know what language that is,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, she should do Gaelic.
It was right. I mean, sure, but like, is it a curse word because it's got 18 vowels in it or consonants? I don't know. Like, yeah. So, not to mention, like, a lot of curses in other languages are like phrases, right?
Yes.
So it's just like she's just gonna say, like, sorry, I shouldn't even talk about this because it's just going to digress us, but like, you're going to get some nonsense phrase like out of Australia, like, we're not here to fuck spiders, which is a curse, but also a nonsense phrase. So it's like, but that's just like, we're not wasting time. We're sitting around.
We're not here to waste time. Yeah. We're not here to fuck spiders.
So she'll say, we're not here to fuck spiders in Gaelic. And you're like, what did you even just say? So anyway, is it a metaphor if you use somebody else's, metaphor in the wrong language? Like, if you translate that to Gaelic, it feels like it should qualify.
Yes,
but
yes, it should.
Right.
I think.
We should be doing while we aren't recording because we are so not on topic. But
but,
all right.
But next week, it's still Aeronauts Windless. We don't have a topic. We still have topics.
The fifth time,
we're not supposed to.
We good progress on that.
Yeah, ish. All right, so the main thing here is Susan trades her memory, right? She trades a year worth of memories for Susan, or for Dresden's well-being. but that year worth of memories is like most of their relationship.
Right. So describe
So
again exactly what happened. So Dresden pissed off Leah, and then he was in a terrible amount of pain because he broke his promise 3 times, right? So did she come to collect him? Is that the point?
um so the trade is for relief, but I'm trying to find where the wording is. So um let's see. Yeah, she started out with, her eyes, so, they talked her down from that. Um, so how much for you to make this stop hurting Harry? Which I think is the broken promise thing. And there's a lot of back and forth. They're haggling price, first eyeballs, then, eventually memories.
And
Um,
again, Dresden can be undignified, making undignified noises on the ground.
Right. And Susan, Susan's hedging, so, Leah's like, "Oh, let him suffer." She's an expert salesperson because she does the walk away, so that you're like, "No, no, no, that's." She's like, "That's the best deal I can offer," you know.
So
Um,
Leah is bound to protect Harry, but she knows that all he needs to do is do the thing that he said in your promise. That the option for him to stop being in pain is either haggle with Susan and trade something, or Dresden just goes with Leah. She's not
right.
hurting him beyond her bound to Margaret,
I mean, all
technically.
she needs to do is nothing, right? Like, yeah. So, yeah, so start of a long paragraph here, but memory for relief done. Leah purred. She leaned forward and placed a gentle kiss upon Susan's forehead, then shivered, drawing in her breath in a swift inhalation. The yeah, tips, we know. Oh, sweet poppet, what a dear thing you are. Then she turned and slapped me across the face with a sharp sound of impact, and I tumbled down to the ground despite Michael's best efforts
Mm.
because he's got a glass jaw because he's a wizard. So Michael gets all self-righteous because duh.
Michael's self-righteous. No.
Yeah. Let's see. Then they tried to bargain for the
Wait,
sword. So
and
what?
it was the sword for Molly, but Molly's not
Well,
named.
yeah, he says myself for the sword, done, and then she's like, yeah, no. So
Because she's
yeah.
smarter than Kelly.
Yeah, well, yeah, she's like, for once the Redeemer's blade was in your hands again, you would find the shattering of our pact a simple enough matter, because, there might be an
Mhm.
angel inside of it. So, um, and in any case, you are far too restricted for my tastes. So, and he's just smug about it. I serve the Lord as I may. So, yeah. But yes, then she gets all the way down. Mortal children are so sweet and can be bent and shaped in so many, many ways. Your eldest daughter, I think, would. Michael didn't snarl, he didn't roar, didn't make any sounds at all. He simply seized the front of Leah's dress and lifted her clear off the ground by it. His voice came out in a vicious growl. Stay away from my family, fairy, or I will set such things in motion against you as will destroy you for all time. I mean, if that isn't one of the top 10 badass lines, come on. So, there's a
We
lot
do
to compete with, but that's freaking up there. So,
we do see that
yeah,
Michael again in the Warrior. Is that what it's
Mhm.
called? The one.
sure.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot that until I was like, I almost stopped because it was a sentence break, and I was like, oh no shit, I'm, I'm finishing this line. So yeah, that'll be fun. Do we put her up on wires, or do we just make sure that Michael is buff enough to pick her up by the front of her dress? So
I'm
it's
surprised Michael
rhetorical.
didn't get more. Like that's the one thing that gets him right. Like his family. He didn't get more angry when he showed up at the senior council was talking about like executing his daughter.
Right. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the difference is he's getting pushed here, right? Whereas when he showed up in proven guilty, he was crutching on his faith. Here he is too, but he's just been he had to he had to wrestle
His
with a
son might
dragon.
die.
He's got to
His wife might
carry
die.
right his kid, he's got a lot going on, and there's only his shoulders are only so big. you know, whereas like the other one, he was mostly running to Molly the whole time, you know. And again, not just Michael but Harry, you know, Harry borrowed Michael's faith for that moment so that, you know, he could, you know, make sure that she would be saved. So, you know, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, now I'm just like soaking that energy in for a second because that's going to be just a fun scene too, you know. Like, yeah, doesn't matter, he still gets a damn vote, you know, like come on. So
Mhm.
Harry's wiseassery is useful sometimes. So, all right, let's see. Yeah. So the can't even think of the word for it now. The cliffhanger is Susan being like, "Okay, let's get out of here. Do I know you?" You know. So
Yeah.
is that an episode break? Do we how many episodes are we going to have at the masquerade, you know?
Ooh. Well, no, Pyro Fuego's got to be the episode break. So this is some form of transition, but Pyro Fuego's got to be the ending of that episode.
We don't do any aftermath. We don't do the whole like walking past the police cars and, you know, fire
I
trucks and
think
shit.
he screams Pyro Fuego. You see some of the fires starting to go and the screaming, and then you cut and then start off right there in the next episode.
Well, yeah, so my main thing from that is like the next episode, because that's going to be the pacing problem with these, right? Is like, you know, season finales tend to put all the action and the cleanup together, right? You usually don't have a follow-on episode just to do the cleanup because that's a down. That's how the books are written. But, you know, like that's why I'm like, do we do that as the middle of the episode and then we spend 15 minutes picking up the pieces or half an hour or something? Because I want to agree with you, but like show me a television show where that's happened, where they were like, oh yeah, that's cool, you know, like it works in a movie, right? Because we blow up the Death Star and then we have this whole award sequence and then everybody gets mad that Chewbacca doesn't get an award for like 30 years, 40, 50 years, however long it's been
Well,
now, you know.
Didn't Ned Stark get his head cut off in episode 9 of season 1, and then they had episode 10 to do a
Who are you talking
resolution?
to? Like, yeah.
Andreas?
Yeah.
Cody?
Andres, you got her on this?
Second to last episode is where he gets his head cut off. Yes.
Okay.
And that's like the big climactic thing because Ned Stark was going to save everything and then he
Okay.
didn't. So like it is
So
certainly possible.
So it's okay for us to follow along in, you know, Game of Thrones footsteps and do something that D&D have done.
I think what was like
those are
really
the people you want to channel.
Well,
I mean, that's also
they were
that's
following the George R. Martin stuff at the time. Like season 1 was good.
it was very good. And it's also what like kind of set Game of Thrones up for its success and its downfall because it truly subverted expectation. It's like, you know, how it's like he's about to get killed and everybody's like, you know, but there's a whole other episode of this season. Like this can't like even like that's one of the things why it
Sure.
works so well.
Okay.
But it's also the downfall of Game of Thrones in the same way because then Dumb and Dumber just got it in their heads that, you know, subverting expectations, that's what people want.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of taking tropes, using them, but then twisting them in some way, right? So that you subvert expectations. But you can't do that every time, you
Right.
know, and there is a method to it, right? You can't just be like you can't yeah, there's just so many different things, right? Where it's just like it does still have to follow. It does still have to be there. You still have to pay homage to all the tropes and everything. You can't just be like, you know, replace the ending of that trope with the start of another one because you're not doing either of them justice. You know, there is kind of a method to that madness, but you know, like anyway. Yeah. So what did they do for episode 10? Like, I mean, there's
everybody
obviously a lot of
reacting.
cleanup. Bodies have a lot of blood in them. So,
Yeah.
you know,
So it was the kind of the cleanup and then just kind of the realization of what the story is actually going to be and everybody trying to get into position to actually survive.
okay.
It was like Ned Stark's death did not end the story. And it's just like the
Obviously,
same thing
yeah.
with like the Red Wedding of like shit's still happening and
Right.
everyone has to react to it.
Well, and that could be good if we spend a chunk of it focusing on the White Council and like we're actually at war now. Like you have fucked up. Like there are
But Pyro
no
Fuego is the half point of this book. It's a
oh
really long
shit.
book. Yeah, this is not the end
Right.
because they have to go back to Dresden's place. They have to go then back to Bianca's place to then rescue Susan and start the war.
Okay. I
This is
thought
episode 6 or
yeah.
7.
Yeah, you're right.
It's
Jesus.
because it's 2 books. This book.
It
Right.
really is.
Right. Like do we really burn up 2 seasons doing this one book? So
Add a
like
couple extra
I'm
episodes.
laughing because it's insane to even say those words, but at the same time, like this book is wild, right? So yeah, just yeah, you're right because I was thinking, I mean, Pyro Fuego is obviously the climax, but not really. And you're
Mhm.
right, it is kind of the middle point of the book, even. So yeah,
Mhm.
that will so I'm on board now. It has to be the end of an episode.
Awesome.
You know, let's see. Hold on. I put my notes in the wrong order here. So okay. Yeah, so I mean, if it's the middle point of the book, then it has to be because I was conflating it with the actual ending climax, which is him summoning the ghosts and
Mhm.
like that. Like it's like, can we have our actor read that scene? There's just so many. There's just so many one scene, like one line Dresden moments that it's like
Right.
you've got to nail this, right? I need you to say, for one life, for one soul. There's
Right.
just like, and then I need you to say, I use the knife, I saved the girl, I saved the
Mm.
world, or whatever. So, like, yeah. I ended the war. That was the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. I need to collect myself. So, yeah, it just
I mean, at that point, sometimes it does like, who can read that better than Marsters? Seriously.
yeah. Right. I mean, people, there's a whole city, dozens and dozens and
There's an
dozens of
industry
cities worth
around
of
people
people.
doing this,
Yeah.
but it's just like
Right.
it's so hard to imagine, I guess, until I see it. So it's just let's have everybody read
Right.
for it.
Right. Right. Yeah. Hell, by the time we get these off the ground here, here's a controversial thing. Timothy Chalamet for
I knew you were gonna fucking say that.
he's doing everything else, so or Oscar Isaacs, he did everything for the last 5 years. Like we could have him be Dresden, and then we'll have so
I
he might still be a little kind of old for what we're going for, but
did
by the time we get these off the ground, Chalamet will be in his 30s and 40s. So, but
I don't know. Oscar Isaacs could be so many people. It's like he could be
right.
Morgan, he could be Dresden, he could fucking be Michael. It like
Yeah. He's too old for Ramirez. Otherwise, I would love to see him for Ramirez, but
right.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway. All right. Dresden is shocked because he's an idiot and Leah has stolen a year of her memories and Susan doesn't even remember him. And
Right,
he's just like,
because it's not
what?
just a
When did
solid
you lose your
year.
memories 30 seconds ago? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like he should be paying attention. Like even like the most straightforward expectation is that she's lost a calendar year and so she doesn't know where she is. But what she's lost is a year's worth of memories of Dresden. So she
Right.
doesn't even realize the sacrifice that she made or why. But right here is when Mavra shows up. And
Yes.
if Mavra is not Claudia Black, I'm going to throw something at a wall.
You want to do that to Claudia Black? You're going to...
I think she's perfect for it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Wait, this is
She's-
me.
is
I
she
love
gonna
the
be-
necromancers and the dead vampire people. Claudia Blake.
She
Yeah,
is
no,
she is good for it. She's good.
I'm
for
not
it.
arguing. I'm just like, she's going to be buried under a bunch of prosthetics and shit, right? So she looks
I-
zombified and gross.
I think just
So-
a little bit of makeup because she's not like burned yet.
Hmm.
Not in this case. Like she's wearing old clothing, authentic,
Uh,
like 500-year-old clothing.
And in a similar vibe, I don't know if you just fight me on this because you want it to be Claudia Black, but think about it. What about Ava Green?
Because she's
We've-
Lara.
Yeah, we've cast her so
Yeah.
many times. Like, again,
Right, she
we
is
got our
Laura.
favorites. Yeah.
Man, she is so.
Right. Yeah, like, right.
I'm sorry. Let me say it.
Sorry,
Let me say it
shit,
like how
come
me
on.
and Justin said we were supposed to do it, dude.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
Oh, damn.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, if Claudia Black's not available, then maybe we can do Kate Beckinsale or something. So I'm just, there's options. Like,
Kate Beckinsale, I think, is a bit too sexy for Mavra.
I will agree with that. Yeah,
Like,
how could I argue with that? Yeah,
I mean, I find Claudia Black quite attractive, but she's like in this like oddity
Kinda
way.
Having seen
unconventional,
Claudia Black in
Yes.
quite a few things, she's also very good at being melodramatic, which I think Mavra is.
But also like kind of in a severity, and also she was in the Dresden TV show. Come on,
Claudia
one with
Black
the hockey
was?
stick.
She was?
Yes, yeah. The one with the hockey
I know
stick.
what other Dresden TV show. We're trying to fix that.
No.
Yeah,
In
I
that
know the one with
episode,
the hockey stick.
that episode, she was a private detective as well. She was trying to give Dresden accreditation when he had to go to school for. Come on,
Oh
I'm not
wow.
the only one who's seen this damn show.
No,
I've seen
but
it once after
man.
read up to Ghost Story, and I was like, "Oh,
How
there's
much-
a TV show," and then I
how
never
much am
watched
I
it again.
How much am I supposed to have committed to my memory for that? Like,
Is that an episode we're doing in conjunction with just with doing like we're reviewing the season of Dresden?
I just wanted to see like what her character name was. So I was probably super excited about it in the moment because she's one of those Liz Fontaine,
Mm.
So like she's one of those like actors or actresses that I love to see when they show up in whatever random thing. Like
Have you seen Stargate? I don't
Or
remember.
Farscape?
Stargate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Not-
I'm
not
saying
Yes.
Farscape.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have not
Stargate,
seen
the whole
Farscape.
thing,
I know
Farscape,
that
like, 6
the two
episodes
last
out of 'em.
seasons get two people get Claudia and Mitchell that I don't remember the actor's name from Farscape. He's the new
Oh,
the new
interesting.
main guy in Stargate. He's also the main guy in Farscape, I believe.
Gotcha.
That's
They make a whole joke about it in episode 200 of Stargate, where they have a TV show writer there who's actually an alien. Who's like, how are they gonna do They're doing what we're doing. They're doing writers' room.
Mhm.
How they're gonna, and they're doing puppet Stargate, and they're doing some sort of Farscape spin. They're doing like young and itchy Stargate. The puppet one is the best because they all die when they go through the Stargate because their strings get cut.
Nice. Do they like close the iris and then their strings get cut, or just by
No, the
going through
wormhole like
wormholes?
closes and
Okay.
then the strings cut.
yeah, close
Makes
the iris.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a long time since I've seen any Stargate, but yeah, like
That is by
Yeah.
far the Star franchise I've seen the most. I've seen
Yeah.
at least 10 times I've watched all of the seasons or something. Like
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I was really into Stargate.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I just never went and did a rewatch or anything. But if you want to hear Claudia Black until you hate her, then you can go play Destiny and just hang out in the tower for like half an hour. She's got like 4
is that
lines,
her?
and they just replay over and over
Yeah.
again. So yeah,
That's bad
but-
game design.
Yeah,
They shouldn't
it's
replay too
terrible.
much.
It's literally been like that for a decade. So they just
God.
need to pay her to record some new lines.
Yes,
So-
everybody should pay her. We should pay her. She should be Mavra.
I would love for that to happen. Yes, that's fine. So all right, let's see.
All right. This is
Yeah.
I mean, we have to have a good moment with Mavra and Susan now being suspicious of Dresden, and the small little hint that as Susan moves the basket a little bit closer to Mavra and she gets close, or she distances herself a little bit because the garlic is in it, because the difference between red court, white court, black court vampires now matters.
Right. Yeah, just that subtlety, easy to put in, and would love it. So like, to not even have anybody really address it would be fantastic. Just details, right? I like the shit that it's details.
Yes, the information, it doesn't need to necessarily be spelled out, but it's there for you to grab if you want, if you're paying attention. The information from the actors themselves giving something.
Right. Sorry, so Harry says something, and then there's 3 paragraphs of description, it's because I'm like, does he use his sight? What is it? So yeah, he does. Okay, yeah. So they're on their way out, but Mavra is veiled, standing on the stairs. So Harry's like, hold on, my wizard senses are tingling. So he brings up his sight, and then you get Mavra's description for 3 paragraphs. So just want to point out, Bianca got 200 words, and I think Mavra got more. So I don't know if Harry is just like,
much more
horny all the time, but but yeah, and then she's like, well done, wizard. That was the part that was like, wait, what did I miss? What did he just do? And because
he listened to his intuition. He was not so blindly like going through the wall. He was like, wait, there's an obstacle that means something when bad guys are around.
That's because there wasn't anything in here to distract him from that little voice in his head that says, I think you're about to be eaten. And he's like, oh yeah, wait a minute, I hear something. So yeah, then we get more description, more dialogue, and then she's like, but I haven't had words with you yet. You can't leave. And the hour for the meet and greet is almost done. And then he tries to be rude to her, so she threatens him with a duel. So, yeah. So
flashbacks of
Cavendish. Yeah, right. Like, yeah. Because and he's like, and what if I don't have time for pleasantries? Oh, she whispered, then I might be insulted. I might even be tempted to call for satisfaction. A duel? I asked incredulously. Are you kidding me? Of course, if you would rather a champion fought in your place, I would gladly accept, because she's not afraid of Michael, but she probably ought to be, because, granted, he doesn't have the sword, but
that's part of one of the reasons why Mavra is so scary, is that she recognizes what Michael is and is willing to meet it.
At least she bluffs that she is. Like, I gotta imagine Michael did not have a problem with Faravax without his sword. I don't think, like, and now I'm not saying that Michael wasn't bluffing in that moment, because he probably was, but Mavra's got to be bluffing. Like, the bro has a cross on his chest. Like, what are you gonna do? Wrestle him? She's probably just banking on, okay, we'll use magic, and then, but the problem is, if she's the challenger, then
he
gets to pick the weapons.
I mean, if he picks holy water, she's fucked, but
well,
anything else,
it should just be wrestling, like I just demonstrated. Like, he could just go tackle her, and then that's the end of it.
Are the knights an accorded nation, or otherwise it's just demand satisfaction?
It doesn't matter about Michael, because it's about Dresden. Michael's just going to be stand-in for Dresden.
Yeah, Michael's his second, and therefore his champion, whatever. So, which she specifically says when she's like subtly threatening Michael. So, a real vampire, Susan said. I heard the click of her tape recorder coming on again. So, yep, they're sparring. Only 2 of you are on your way out. The third one's going to stay with me. So, vampires, they get thirsty, they crack open a cold one. So, necrophiliacs, something, yeah, you're welcome. Make hers a blood light. Dresden's joke, but it's older than that too. So
But he's cheesy enough to say it, and everyone else around him groans.
yes, because of course.
Yeah. And so this would be also right around the moment of Lydia being put up on the stage as like Leah gives the gift to Bianca of Lydia. Oh wait, no. Leah gives the gift of the sword to Bianca, and Lydia is there, but they need to give. Oh, it was the athame. That's what I'm missing.
Yeah,
because Leah needs a gift in response, and it was Morgana Le Fay's athame.
yes.
All these fucking names are so too similar.
Who would have thought someone at this party giving a gift that's not actually a gift?
The wine wasn't really wine. That should have been your clue.
Do we do we make it obvious at any point there, or is that just when we get to it later?
What the
it
gifts
wasn't obvious to us originally in the story, right? That the athame is nimsified or whatever.
Yeah, we don't find that out until proven guilty, right? So
we have to have you see Cal and Kamori in the background, but obviously you don't know who they are.
What's when does she show up? When does Mab show up the first time?
Book 4. Next book.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So we find out by then, kind of. Like
no, we'll
get our clue. We find out that Leah is incapacitated.
No. Leah's not yet incapacitated.
Oh, she's not. Yeah. The
mortgage has been sold to Mab.
Right.
For whatever reason.
And to rebalance power, partially because of the athame, probably. But
and there's a hint at the end, like when building the battleground around the stone table, Leah says, "Never let her bring you here again." And someone had asked during a Q&A, like, was that Leah saying it or was it Nemesis saying it? And Jim said, "That's a great question," and refused to answer.
Right.
So
that is fantastic. Yeah. All right. Let's try and get through this chapter at least. So okay, so Michael is of course going to volunteer to stay behind because he has to, because he's a knight. And Susan has the classic line of "Save me from chauvinist pigs." And then Dresden starts poking around in her basket of goodies while she's busy. And you came armed for bear, Miss Rodriguez. Holy water, garlic, 2 crosses. Is that a 38? Susan sniffed a 45. So, yeah.
He knew there was something about her that he liked.
Yeah, right. It definitely wasn't the fact that they're both in a noir setting and it's practically obligatory. So,
yeah.
Yeah. So then they talk about how Dracula is basically the, how-to guide to killing Black Court vampires. So, oh, and then he gets the wizard sense off of Mavra finally. He figures out she's the one she at least taught whoever was doing the necromancy or doing the nightmare magics, right? She's the one that's been doing the binding spells. So
yeah, she's been teaching Bianca magic, and so they've all been working with Kravos and stirring things up and causing chaos, and Cal and Kamori are just glooming in the background, unnamed Dementors.
Right. Why are her hands doing that? Susan said, "Can vampires do that? Wizards can. Get behind me." So no. Okay. I was wondering if this was one of the quips where he corrected her ancient grammar, but that was a Kravos thing, I think. So I think we did that when he tried to bind the demon, and changing the thous and the these and all of that. So yeah, because I got distracted because her her line was like, "Come, wizard, let us test one another, thou and I."
I think we've
Michael
jumped
has
over some things because we haven't mentioned Harry getting his tombstone or Thomas getting the tickets out of town.
because it hasn't happened yet.
Oh, it hasn't?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, this is them trying to get out, and then Mavrib gets them turned back around into the party, I think, right?
Stuck.
So,
no one gets to
yeah.
leave. Okay. And
yeah, because Michael has a paragraph long freaking prayer here. Blood of the dragon, that old serpent, Michael said quietly, you and yours have no power here, on and on and on. So he channels Theoden for a minute, but then he cries death and charges. Just kidding. But then let's see. I was trying to see if there was an indication. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I should finish Michael's thing because this is hilarious. But cease this now before you tempt the wrath of the Almighty. He glanced aside at me and added, probably for my benefit, or before my friend Harry turns you into a greasy spot on the floor. So kind of fantastic. But Mavra walked slowly back up the steps, tension creaking. She bent and gathered up the skull she dropped at some point during the discussion, then turned back to us, looking down with a quiet smile. No matter, she said, the hour is up. Hour? Susan asked me with a tight whisper. What hour is she talking about, Dresden? The hour of socializing. So that's when they basically go back down for present time, I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. All the presents, and so you team up with Thomas again.
Yeah, they were about to duel, and Mavra was actually like, wait, you're going to really do this? And then I was like, was there a gong? Was there a bell? Was there some indication? But no, Mavra's apparently been just counting the seconds or something, or there's a clock behind Dresden, that ticks over. So, yeah. Leah gave Thomas a kiss, so he's
it's
got.
It's the lesser known black court power of perfect time sense.
Right. She's supernatural. She's had a lot of time to practice that.
Don't they have that thing of compulsively counting everything? So counting the seconds, just like counting the rice that's on the floor.
Just like the count.
Yeah, that is a lore thing. I don't know if it's in Dresden or Dracula.
That
it is brought up in something where some show, I think, or something where like they throw rice down in front of the vampire and he's just like looks down 330,000 and then he moves on like right away. You can do it really fast.
They actually used that in one of the new Doctor Who episodes where they brought Tennant back. They brought that up. I think that was the last reference I saw where they basically like threw down the grains of rice because they were dealing with some critter that was like compulsively had to know the answer. So yeah, but I think I know what you're talking about, Andreas, too. I think I've seen that one, but
yeah, I don't remember.
Also an old X-Files episode where they threw a bunch of shit on the floor and the vampire looks down. It's like, God damn it, now we have to do this. You run away.
That's funny.
Is that a thing? I gotta see that. I've never seen that. Is that?
Yeah, that was pretty fun. X-Files.
Is that an actual X-Files? I have to see that. I'm gonna YouTube that. Afterwards.
I haven't watched a ton of X-Files, but that sounds hilarious. So yeah. So pretty much they all go down, and then are you ready for what? For court to be held, to be given our gifts. See, going in timeline order here. And then Harry's final thing for the chapter is, all rise, I whispered as soft whispers and moans rustled up out of the darkness all around us, not at all human. Vampire court is now in session. Tunk tunk. So yes, that happened.
All right. So,
all right.
Thomas gets his plane tickets first, and he looks uncomfortable, right? And this is when Justine grabs onto Dresden and says, "You have to help him." And she's 18, wearing like 5 petals, covering all of the important bits for the censors, and just like so desperately making like sad girl eyes, like, you have to help Thomas, please, because Bianca's about to murder him in order to take her.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. Well, yeah, I think at this rate, it's going to be like 3 more episodes at a minimum, but
just to get to Pyro Fuego.
No, yeah, we're on 247 out of 369, so we're like 2/3 of the way done. But
We have to we pretty much should stay in order of everything. Of like Thomas gets first, and then Dresden decides yes he's going to help because the girl with the sad eyes wanted to, and then he gets his tombstone because you have to see that it says he died doing the right thing.
right.
And then he understands, like, oh, now I'm causing a war. Not quite
Right.
yet, but to
Is that what we're going to do, Bianca? We're going to war? Like, if I had known, I would have dressed for it. Like he should have come dressed as General Patton. Maybe they would have gotten the idea. So,
yeah, instead of Dracula.
yeah.
I agree with the sentiment.
Yeah, I mean it's fair, and I mean this one is going to be like its own standalone season. It's just like it's trying to get the pacing and trying to figure out, if we can or if we even should try and untangle the two stories that are intertwined here, because they're very codependent, because what is happening with the nightmare informs the finale, right? And so we can't fully separate them, because Dresden uses ghosts. He
Yeah.
basically brings down the veil
I mean,
for the
he's
ghost
gonna
to
do that ridiculous thing of killing himself to create a ghost to be able to defeat Kravos, all of that. Like, that's gonna
right,
happen. And
right,
that's important.
It is troublesome. You're right, but how we tell a cohesive story in one season here without making it too hard to follow in a TV format, like, and we have to capture the general audience, right? Otherwise, we're not getting our 10 billion approval. So we
right,
have to show that we've worked that out.
right.
How do we do that?
With a camera mostly. So
With a few cameras, some
yeah,
editing.
sure, there could be
CGI
more than
maybe.
one
You guys
camera.
suck.
That might speed things up. No, vampires suck. We're awesome.
This has been an episode of the Dresden Files podcast.
Okay.
You can join us on Patreon. I don't have my script in front of me this time.
How did you not get that in front of you after you were so prepared last time? Wait, now like the bar has been set higher. We're 11 minutes over, and you had all this time to get your script in front of you.
I forgot. I forgot I did that last week. I just remembered now when I started talking. Okay. Yeah, okay. This has been an episode of the Dresden Files podcast. We are part of the Broken Jars Network. You can find us wherever you find any podcast as soon as we upload the episode, which is usually within a week.
I'll do it this weekend.
You can also find us on YouTube. You can join us on our Patreon, where if you give us money, you get access to our Discord. We have gift wars. It's awesome. Yeah. Wherever your podcasts are sold, that's where we are. For free.
All right. But yeah, give us money and join in on the gift wars because they will happen.
They will happen.